It's official, we finally have our answer to a story that we have been tracking all week long for the Georgia Bulldogs, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Georgia Football 365. If you are a Georgia Bulldogs fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But let's jump right into what we got for today, because the Georgia Bulldogs just landed a recruit that we've been talking about all week long, and that is, of course, going to be Miller Westerfield, officially committing to the Georgia Bulldogs this morning, Friday, July 10th. Joining the Georgia 2027 offensive tackle class that has a ton of names in the class. As we pull it up here, he joins Kennedy Jackson, Kelsey Adams, DJ Dotson, Abram Eisenhower, and Ty Johnson as one of 6 offensive tackles in a loaded offensive line class for the Georgia Bulldogs for 2027. But let's jump into who exactly Miller Westerfield is. We know once Georgia missed out on our last offensive tackle target, who we're going to talk about later on in this video, he went to South Carolina, but Georgia, reports are, is not fully backing out of that conversation just yet. We knew that Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs coaching staff was going to shift our focus now over to Miller Westerfield, and things came around very quickly. Georgia was able to quickly put together the visit. We got the offer out, and we have officially Miller Westerfield committing to Georgia. He's a 6'5", 290-pound offensive tackle, rated a 3-star by 24/7 Sports, ranked the 47th best offensive tackle in the class, and 50th best player in the state of Georgia. Our 24/7 Sports composite grade has him rated a little bit higher as a 4-star recruit, ranked the 390th best player in the 2027 class, 40th best tackle in the class, and 43rd best player in the state of Georgia. The Roswell High School offensive tackle staying in state with the Georgia Bulldogs, and we do have a bit of a scouting report coming through from Andrew Ivins, the director of scouting for 24/7 Sports, to help us further understand exactly what the Georgia Bulldogs just brought in. Ivins writes, combative offensive linemen that can set the tone up front. That's exactly what we are looking for. Believed to be hovering right around 6'5", 285 pounds as he embarks on a senior campaign, and isn't one that's carrying much, if any, bad weight. So 285 pounds, and it's all good weight. It's all muscle, and he's not dragging behind. Dude's an athlete, despite being 6'5", 285, almost 300 pounds, still an athlete at the same time, which is very important to play offensive tackle at the highest FBS levels. Battles like a boxer on the corner as he clubs and chops assignments with heavy mitts. Love to see that. He's able to knock down the hands of opposing defensive ends, defensive linemen coming his way, and is able to effectively use his hands to protect his quarterback. Frequently in control of the body, plows defenders on down blocks, and will run his cleats to finish. So we talked about doesn't have bad weight. He's in control of his body. That tells us he has a good center of gravity. He moves his feet well. But I also love that last thing I said, will run his cleats to finish, plays through the whistle. That is exactly what you're looking for, because it shows that he puts forth effort while he's on the football field. Every player that Georgia will ever recruit is going to be talented, but the talent doesn't matter if you don't have a high level of effort to maximize your God-given talent, and that's exactly what Miller Westerfield does. So excited about that. I'm always looking for points about, finishes the plays hard, especially offensive linemen. I want to see you finish the plays. I want to see you, jumping on the guy after the play, knocking someone down, just being nasty as an offensive lineman. There are not enough of those in the modern college football landscape and NFL. Still mastering pass protection, but works to recover. Perfectly fine. We got a great coaching staff. We can teach him how to pass protect a little bit better. He is in control of his body, and we talked about, his feet are pretty good so far. That tells me that he will be able to learn how to pass protect pretty well, because think about it. Players that are bad in pass pro, they either have very short arms, in which they're probably going to be moved inside to offensive guard or center, or they have bad feet, and that's when you're really in trouble. So if you are in control of your body, that tells me we can teach you how to be a good pass protector. Spent most of his junior campaign at left tackle, but future is likely on the right side or the interior. So here is a player that is likely to move to the inside of our offensive line. And I do want to mention, Georgia right now has 6 offensive tackles committed, and technically we have 0 interior offensive linemen committed. So that doesn't mean we're going to have no interior offensive linemen coming in. This just means one or more of these players are going to be kicking inside to when they're playing their college football. We are going to, we'll figure out when these guys get on campus, which players will be kicking inside and who will be staying outside on the perimeter. Final point here, which is pretty much a basic point for all 3, 4-star or 5-star recruits, projects at this stage as a potential multi-year starter at the Power 4 level. That's exactly what we're looking for. So Miller Westerfield, welcome to Georgia. Now, let's go over the next steps for the Georgia Bulldogs. Next step, I accidentally leaked it a little bit earlier. We've talked about Kelsey Adams earlier, on this channel, earlier this week, earlier this month. Next step for Georgia, retain Kelsey Adams. LSU is making a really tough go at him right now. He is rated in the top 175 recruits in the 2027 class. He committed to Georgia back on September 27th of 2025, but we can see from the crystal ball prediction that LSU is actually predicted to be successful in this flip attempt. So where we stand right now, our insiders do not feel good about our ability to maintain the Fairburn, Georgia native. We're going to see if Kirby can get back on this and maintain Kelsey Adams, but it is likely at this stage in time that our 6 recruit offensive tackle class in the very near future will become a 5 recruit offensive tackle class, with Kelsey Adams, the second highest rated offensive lineman in Georgia's 2027 class, expected to flip to Louisiana State. Next targets after, so top priority, retain Kelsey Adams. After that, Georgia is going after multiple flip targets. Number 1 is the dream flip, Mark Matthews from Texas A&M, where he's currently committed to Texas A&M from Fort Lauderdale. Been committed to the Aggies since, May 15th of 2026, about 2 months ago. Monster. Mark Matthews, top 5 recruit in the class, 6 foot, 5.5 inches, 300 pounds, rated the 3rd best player in the class by 24/7 Sports, 5th best player in the class by the composite grade, so the consensus is he's the 5th best player in the class. Overall monster. There's not much to say. Mark Matthews is a monster, and Georgia wants to bring in the best offensive lineman that we possibly can. It's going to be tough to flip him from what is currently the number 1 ranked recruiting class in 2027 of the Texas A&M Aggies, but Georgia is not backing down in this battle. And speaking of not backing down, I hinted at Nate Carson earlier. Georgia is not letting Nate Carson go without a fight. We lost the battle for Nate Carson earlier this month on July 3rd when he decided to commit to his hometown South Carolina Gamecocks. Fortunately for Georgia, we are still trying to make something happen here, not backing out of this commitment just yet. In the era of NIL, players decommit all the time. I'm not saying there's any buzz right now about Nate Carson decommitting, but there are reports of Georgia trying to remain in contact and try to find a way to undo this commitment essentially from Nate Carson. Final name here that Georgia is going to try to flip, Jimmy Callis, who has been committed to Ohio State since April 17th, 2026. Jimmy Callis, absolute skyscraper of a human being, 6 foot 7.5 inches tall, 290 pounds, rated a 4-star by 24/7 Sports, ranked the 203rd best player in the recruiting class, 25th best offensive tackle, 8th best player in the state of Pennsylvania. The 24/7 Sports composite grade has him ranked the 322nd best player in the class. So now, where we are currently expecting this stuff to go, so Georgia is going to be pursuing these 3 flips at this current moment in time. It looks like everyone is going to stay home. However, or it looks like everyone's going to stay home outside of Kelsey Adams, unfortunately. So not good news there on the flip front, but definitely big news today, picking up Miller Westerfield for the Georgia Bulldogs. That's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Go Dogs!